All right, good afternoon. I want to call the December 12th, 2019 meeting of the Plaquemines Parish Council to order at 2:10 PM. The machine is open for a roll call. Let the record reflect that all council members are present except for Councilmember Blink is absent. Getting Q in for deferrals or withdrawals, please, and we'll get out of the way. Mr. Russo?
Yes, at this time, I'd like to defer 9G, withdraw 9N. And defer O.
All right, Mr. Kaganovich?
Jay? Defer. Withdraw.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, Mr. LaFrance? Sorry. Go ahead, Mr. LaFrance. Mr. LaFrance?
9A1 deferred.
981, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. 982? Mr. Kaganovich, I was requested by the council secretary, 982 withdrawn. It's under your name.
982.
The gentleman passed away, according to Anitra.
Okay. Legal?
Councilmember Blackwood is for 9U.
Defer? Mr. LaFrance, you got that one? That's on the unit. All right. Yeah. All right, with no more, I'm gonna go through them real quick. You in?
Want to defer F, but at the request of the attorney, parish attorney, we're going to defer it. But we need to, I would ask that everything be ready for the next council meeting because it's so important that we address some of the issues that this deals with.
Can we discuss?
Which one, sir?
Yeah, all right, we'll discuss it. Go ahead. We'll move on to it.
On what? Okay. All right, let me read through them real quick. 2A is withdrawn. 9A1 is deferred. 9A2 is withdrawn. 9E is withdrawn. 9G is deferred. 9J is withdrawn. 9N is withdrawn. 9O is deferred. And 9U is deferred. All right. We have no proclamations. Do you know if the president has a status report? All right, we'll pass on that one. 5 bids and advertisements. Ms. Marcotte, do we have any? None. All right, Q in for beer and liquor licenses, please, if you have one. Mr. Russo?
Yes, I have one for Cooper Ventures LLC doing business at Zydeco's Restaurant at 7010 Highway 23. The name and address of the lessor is Tad Enterprises, and it's for a new liquor license owned 100% by Ms. Cooper.
That's all. Mr. Gooey?
FC Train Tavern, whatever address. Pepper on 23 LLC, and the Dollar General Store, whatever address.
Mr. Kaganovich?
The Den Lounge, 42805 Highway 23, Venice. Dollar General, 42670 Highway 23, Venice. DG, Louisiana, 36749 Highway 11, Buras. Joshua's Marina, 309 Buras, Boat Harbor Road. And I have some for Mr. Blink. Rosina Copeland, Watusi's, Highway 11, Empire. Dollar General, 13900 Highway 23, Empire. Dollar General, 100 Oak Road, Buras, Louisiana. That's it.
Mr. Bartholomew?
I have two. Special boat launch, 8603 Highway 39, Breakaway, Louisiana. Vic's Place, 17831 Highway 15, Point Lash, Louisiana. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. LaFrance?
I have three. Freeman Food Market, Port Sulphur, Louisiana, Highway 26277, Highway 23, Port Sulphur, Louisiana. Louis Thompson with Thompson Kitchen, 105 Camilla Drive, Port Sulphur, Louisiana. LG Louisiana LLC, Dollar General Store number 10841, 26715, Highway 23, Port Sulphur, Louisiana. That's it.
All right, thank you. I have one, Rotolo's in Belchase, 102 Woodland Highway, Suite 5. Any questions or comments from the table? From the audience? All right, with none, the machine is open on the licenses. Passes 8-0.
Building permits?
Yeah, hold on one second. Anybody have an issue taking 1 through 6 in Globo? All right, with none, Ms. Marcotte, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in Globo, please.
1, Gulf South Pipeline Company, LP, application number 2019-546, dated August 13, 2019. Installs sand and concrete mixture sling bags and burlap bags to remediate exposed section of existing index 293-08 pipeline, Mississippi River, West Point, Lahash area, Councilmember LaFrance. Number 2, Leaf Environmental LLC, application number 2019-690, dated October 8, 2019. Advance 8 soil borings and install 3 4-inch diameter permanent monitoring wells and 3 1/4-inch by 1-inch diameter temporary monitoring wells for the Express Food and Fuel Store, 14715 Highway 23, Belchase, Councilmember Blink. Rick Kelly, application number 2019-784, dated November 14, 2019. Install pilings, boat shed and deck, 102 Kingfisher Lane, Myrtle Grove, Phase 2, Councilmember LaFrance. Number 4, Hillcore Energy Company, application number 2019-816, dated November 26, 2019. Install 2 3-inch flow lines, Lake Grand Ecali, Councilmember Blink. Number 5, Geo Engineers, Inc., application number 2019-582, dated August 21st, 2019. Drill 2 geotechnical soil borings for Phillips 66 proposed levee crossing, Alliance area, Councilmember LaFrance. And number 6, Daybrook Fisheries, LLC, application number 2019-849, dated December 10, 2019. Repair 16-inch pipeline by replacing deteriorated sections of steel pipe wide HDPE pipe, remove wooden bridge on the levee crown with limestone, and repair catwalk bridge over the river intake pump station, Empire area, Councilmember Blink.
So, Mr. LaFrance, office, we have a second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Newberry. Any questions or comments from the table? From the audience? All right, this one's 7A, 1 through 6.
Councilmember Gooey, please. Thank you.
It passes 6 with 2 abstentions from myself and District 9. Any objection for B through J in Globo? I think it's all trailer parks, or trailers, and 1 fireworks. Any objections? All right, with none, Ms. Marcotte, 7B through J.
B, Novelty, TLC Novelty LLC Fireworks Stand Renewal, 8480 Highway 23, Belle Chase, Louisiana, Councilmember Arborough. C, Emmett Trailer Park, Dennis Adolph Jr. Trailer Park Renewal, Yvonne's Lane, Boothville, Louisiana, Councilmember Kognovich. D, Morel's Gulf Coast Park and Campground, Arthur Morel Jr. Trailer Park Renewal, 32368 Highway 23, Empire, Louisiana, Councilmember Blink. E, Stumps RV Park, Stumps Supermarket, Trailer Park Renewal, 113 Stumps Lane, Venice, Louisiana, Councilmember Kognovich. Kimberly's Court, Gloria Bonvillian, Trailer Park Renewal, Kimberly's Court, Triumph, Louisiana, Councilmember Kognovich. G, Minwin Trailer Park, Van Tran Trailer Park Renewal, Elizabeth Lane, Empire, Louisiana, Councilmember Blink. H, Windmill Mobile Home Park, Rosalino Siragusa Trailer Park Renewal, Windmill Lane, Belle Chase, Louisiana, Councilmember Blink. Verlin Landry Trailer Residence in a floodplain zoning district, 126 Landry Lane, West Point of La Hache, Louisiana, Councilmember LaFrance. And Paul Toze and P&M Fireworks, address change to new location, 9056 Highway 23, Belle Chase, Councilmember Gooey.
Up and offer. Skotovich offers.
Second.
Mr. LaFrance seconds. Any questions or comments from the table, from the audience? All right, the machine's open. Passes 8-0. All right, please cue in for introductions, please. Mr. Russo?
Yes, I have an ordinance approving the plan of re-subdivision of Lot 56A Intercoastal Canal Subdivision, Belle Chase, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, into lots 55A and 55B. Intercoastal Canal Subdivision, Belle Chase, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as shown on the plans and plat of survey by Dufresne Surveying and Engineering Incorporated, dated September the 24th, 2019. The owner having fulfilled all of the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance of the parish of Plaquemines without cost to the Plaquemines Parish government or the parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvement plan, Walker Road Boat Launch Project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, I have 3, an ordinance authorizing the Plaquemines Parish President, Chris Lapine, to enter into an agreement with the Louisiana SPCA and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of property of lots C-3, D-1, and E Hero Lands Division, Belle Chase, Plaquemines of Parish of Plaquemines, into lots 1 through 20. Planner's estate, the dedication of Denella Drive, Belle Chase, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as shown on the plans of plat observed by Dufresne Surveying and Engineering, dated August 12, 2016, revised November 11, 2019. The owner having fulfilled all of the requirements of the subdivision, re-subdivision ordinance of the parish of Plaquemines without cause of the Plaquemines Parish government of the parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of the property of the Parks of Plaquemines LLC, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as shown on the map of the Parks of Plaquemines subdivision, Phase 2C, being a re-subdivision of the portion of Tract 3D1C, Section B of Belle Chase Plantation, into lots 110 through 118, 129 through 134, lots 170, 171, homeowner lot 7H, in streets by Brian Hammond and Associates, certified by Hugh McCurdy III, dated November 25th, 2019. The owner having fulfilled all the requirements of the subdivision, re-subdivision ordinance of the parish of Plaquemines without cost of the Plaquemines Parish government or the parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Mr. Kottovich?
Ordinance to rescind, annul, set aside ordinance 18-144 and to amend certain sections of article of Plaquemines Parish Code of Ordinance and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Resolution naming Rod Lincoln as the official parish historian and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And I have 2 for Mr. Blink. A resolution authorizing and directing the parish president for his designee to seek RFPs for lease of Diamond Island and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvement plan, Jesuit Bend Water Main Crossing Project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Mr. LaFrance?
An ordinance to amend the 2020 general fund manpower structure and operating expenditure budget, civil service department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 2020 firefighting fund manpower structure and operating expenditure budget, ambulance department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 2020 general fund manpower structure and operating expenditure budget, permits, planning, and zoning department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution of the recognizing the final form and execution of the bond purchase agreement in connection with the insurance and sale of $15,500,000 revenue refunding bond of the Parish of Plaquemines, State of Louisiana, Series 2020 of the Parish of Plaquemines, State of Louisiana, and providing for other matters in connection therewith. That's it.
All right, thank you. No alibis? All right, 9B, please.
An ordinance to amend the 2019 5-year capital improvements plan, various projects, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
I'll offer with the following changes, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, and 16. Ms. Marcotte?
We're inserting the following information. Appropriate $1,892,500 to fund the preparation and recovery efforts resulting from Hurricane Barry. Funding sources, $1,644,500 from the Federal Emergency Management Agency and $248,000 from the general fund, unreserved undesignated fund balance, funding year 2019. Inserting the following information. On lines 15 and 16, appropriate $793,398 to the Retrofit Building 800 project. Funding source, Hazard Mitigation Grant Program funds, funding year 2019.
Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Albro. Mr. Russo?
Yes, as I'm looking at this handout, the $878,300 out of the $1.8 million for contingency, what is that for?
That is, well, actually, that's a reduced number. The engineering department requested $2 million to be put in as a contingency, I think, for projects to be done in the future, that haven't been done already. But we didn't have enough money to fund that. With the amount of money we had to reduce the budget, all we had was enough to do the $800,000.
So do you have any idea what this contingency, 800,000
Mr.
projects?
Dugas would have to explain it. It was several different projects, from what I understand.
I mean, are these storm-related projects?
Yes, they had to be storm
Are
related.
they PW projects, or what are they?
They definitely had to be storm related, or we couldn't put them into the Hurricane Barry code. But it's not something that's been done already. It's something that money that he's going to need in the future. I'm not sure exactly. I know he said something about a road to be repaired, but he didn't really go into details.
The road to Myrtle Grove is damaged.
I thought that would be,
That was repaired through Hurricane Barry. That was the repairs done, well, the emergency repairs done to that road, not the complete repairs.
well, we got 842,000 in for professional services general, then you got 878,000 for contingency. Which one is the road and which one is the contingency?
I'm not sure of that answer.
The only reason I asked that, because we're taking a lot of money out of our unreserved and designated fund balance to make up that 20% or whatever the percentage is that FEMA's not going to pay, if they pay this. And we're not sure that they're going to pay this.
This isn't even in the budget.
Right.
My only concern is this, that I would not want to see us put 800,000 in this budget and then see them doing some project that doesn't qualify for reimbursement. And that's the issue that raises the question. Could we defer this, or you need this today?
Well, we need it today because it's 19 is the last time we can do this.
Let's just defer
The-
it for the moment, and we'll try to get an answer for you.
I don't want to hold up the meeting, you know, now, the only thing is that I don't want to come back in a couple of months and find out that we're doing something that's not going to be reimbursable, and we have a problem with expenditure of the funds, thinking it's reimbursable, and we're going to not have any funds to cover it.
I mean, I don't think this is something, this, part of it's gonna be 75% is gonna be FEMA, and the 25% is our share. What we're trying to do is budget our share right now. Where it's coming from,
Okay.
there's two ordinances. There's two ordinances together. There's B and C. Both of them, one of them increases the expenditure budget, which is this one.
I'm gonna give you a C, Hubba. I'm gonna pass out C.
And C decreases the expenditure budget, both of the same amount. So it's not gonna affect the fund balances at all. So it's a net. It's coming out of the budget, it's just switching money around. Every year we do this kind of thing. We don't usually have to do it because of hurricanes, but we move the money around into places that there's some departments that go over, some that go under, and we're able to move the money around so that we can cover some of the budgets, that are gonna go over by the end of the year. And that's basically what we're doing. This one, we're doing because we're covering the expenses that we already spent for Hurricane Barry, which amounted to over $1 million already. We're putting in the contingency of the 800,000, as our share is $248,000.
Mr. Bartholomew?
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at the personnel situation on the payment that they collected. I just thought we were supposed to pay people who are hourly people rather than people who are not hourly people. I'm assuming they're getting paid according to like the directors. They have to pay their salary.
Not on a hurricane situation. If it's a hurricane situation,
I'm just looking at the sheet. I'm assuming this is hurricane.
yeah, it is.
They're
The
getting
hurricane
paid.
situation, then exempt employees can also be paid overtime. Under the
After the hours, they don't have set hours.
right, they don't have set,
So how do you determine that?
but it will,
I'm just asking.
yeah, it is.
'Cause I would try to get some money myself.
Well, it is after 8 hours, I think, the way they get paid.
But, I mean, I can understand employees, but when you're not designated as an hourly person, you have to have something in policy to dictate that,
And
right?
that's usually the way it is. If you exempt employee, if you exempt, like for me, for instance, I'm exempt, I can't get paid overtime. But on a hurricane situation, the pay policy can be set by the appointing authority, which is the president, and said that he will pay overtime to exempt employees.
So the president to determine who gets what.
He
all
can
right.
determine to pay exempt employees or not.
That's the only way they get paid. He have to dictate that.
That's right. And it's only done for a certain period of time, during the storm or after the storm, or in preparation for a storm. We create a pay policy, and that pay policy dictates how, what time, from what period to what period these people get paid.
And I'm just looking. All right. But I always thought that if you did work by hour, that you never could gain any overtime or anything else.
That's right.
Because you are,
On a normal basis, correct.
not to get paid.
That's right.
But everything is done, when it comes to storm, there's no such gain. Everybody get paid. All right. So make a note that the council members need to get paid too then. All right, just like it is. One good for goose, good for gander. If you're out there working,
Yeah,
not-
that's,
I'm just saying, That's the way I see that. Unless I'm wrong, I could be wrong now,
I don't know if that's, you have to talk to the attorneys about that. That's,
Attorney, they hear that conversation. That's all I have. They hear it very well.
Any other questions, comments from the table? All right, from the audience, I just want the record to reflect that the president is here. All right, hold on before we go to vote, Mr. Root.
Mr. Lapine, we're on hold right now, trying to find out what that $878,000 in contingency for Barry is for. And we've been told that we had to repair a road, but we had $842,000 up there for professional services. And we were told that this contingency is for projects that we have not done yet. Do you know what those projects might be?
I'm not sure. He's on the phone with Ken right now.
Okay. Move on it up.
Huh? What you want to do?
We can move on and get it out the way.
All right, let's, any other questions or comments? All right, machine's open. It passes 8-0. 9C, please, Ms. Marcotte.
An ordinance to amend the 2019 operating revenue and expenditure budgets, various funds, various departments, various line items, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Offer with the following changes, Ms. Marcotte.
The changes are from line 9 through 31 as follows. The 2019 operating expenditure budget is amended as follows. We're adding detailed accounts shown on the attached 2019 amendment report. Operating capital outlay accounts, funding source general fund and reserve undesignated, general fund $198,060, road maintenance fund $5,000, boat harbor $0, personnel services account, funding source general fund, unreserved undesignated fund balance, general fund deducting $360,000, road maintenance fund deducting $58,000, public health fund deducting $8,000. 911 Services Fund, adding $16,000. Boat Harbors and Shipyards Fund, deducting $10,000. Funding Source Firefighting Fund, unreserved undesignated fund balance, adding $105,000. On line 26, 2019 operating revenue budget is amended as follows, adding the following. Detailed accounts shown on the attached 2019 budget amendment report. Funding source general fund, unreserved undesignated fund balance, general fund, adding $31,060. Funding source transportation fund, unreserved undesignated fund balance, deducting $40,000.
Is that all?
Yes, sir.
Ask for a second. Second by Mr. Albro. Mr. Kokrovich?
Yeah, so we taking 58,000 out of the road maintenance fees, the road maintenance fund, and 10,000 out the boat harbor fund. I thought we was in a deficit in that.
No, let me kind of explain this. You got two different pages here. One of them is for personal services. You see at the top, it says Council District 2. What we do is we look at every position and every budget in every department for personal services. A lot of these things had vacancies during the year. And for whatever reason, they had money left over. Some of them had money left over. Some of them went over because of overtime or whatever. We're just moving money around between the departments in personal services to cover the ones that are in deficit. That's all we're doing here. So you're not taking anything from anybody. You know what I mean? For 2019, you might be taking some money out of one, but they don't need the money for the rest of the year. You see what I'm saying? So next year, they've totally funded again. So we're not taking any positions away from anybody, anything like that. This is just moving money around that was left over in 2019. 2020, y'all passed the budget. We're gonna start over fresh. And it's gonna have it's gonna have the employees that you voted on, the positions you voted on at the council meeting. This is not taking any positions or anything away from that. It's just moving money around is all it's doing from one department to another.
All right.
Mr. Russo?
Yes, as I look through this, I see that we're still spending money on Port Eads. This one report I have, we spent about $46,000 on Port Eads. This report reflects $20,000 in security fees. What are we gonna do with Port Eads? Are we gonna, it's hard for me to vote for spending any money on Port Eads except for plywood, like I mentioned. We making any progress with doing something with it?
You're actively looking for investors to take it over. We have not put any money back in Port Eads.
This report shows we spent $46,000 on it, though.
That was from the beginning of the year, right,
Yeah, that
Tom?
was security and stuff at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
And we never did budget that. It just fed off the budget of the other boat harbor departments.
So we run a deficit in the other boat harbor and we subsidize Port East with that?
Well, not exactly. I mean, you're taking money from all over throughout this budget and subsidizing it. You know, some of the personal services, the whole thing is like a whole package together.
What can I say?
You.
All right, I'm good.
Mr. Bartholomew?
Yeah, the swimming pool at Dave Inn,
Yes, sir.
that's gonna be put back in, that's what you're telling me? at the beginning?
2020, yeah, this is
All right.
what was left over for 2019.
Yeah,
So 2020, you'll have a full budget, whatever we voted on at the.
all right, okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions or comments from the table? From the audience? Other than that, the machine is open.
Councilmember Bartholomew. Thank you.
Passes 8-0. Item D, please.
A resolution authorizing and directing the parish president or his designee to fill in a hole left after Katrina located on Highway 15 behind the Bethlehem Baptist Church in Point Lahash and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Mr. Bartholomew?
Offer.
So the office, any second? Second, Mr. Kognovich. Mr. Bartholomew?
Yes, Reverend, that's the one we talked about the church? He's here, so, Rev, you wanna come up? Reverend Cross? Today, we're trying to fill in a hole that FEMA normally would have to do that when we did the, highway and the sewer line during that time before Katrina. So when Katrina came along, all that stopped on that lower end, and we never did revisit that. And now he brought it to my attention a couple of weeks ago, and I brought it before the council, and we was having some issues about trying to get that covered. And the only reason why I'm suggesting that, because we do have the trucks hauling some of the day long off of Highway 39, which is about 10 minutes from where the problem is. We can put a little dirt right there and cover that up and be finished with that. Because it's no longer used as sewage, it was used as sewage tank. But because we have a sewage system in place, we need to fill it like we did all the rest of the sewer tanks.
Yeah, my name is Reverend Brandon Key Cross Sr. And we sent in a letter from the church just trying to get some help filling a hole that was a old septic tank before Katrina. And we just asking for the help from the parish to fill it in while they were moving the mud and had the dump trucks moving it. And we appreciate the help. We appreciate the help that we can get it.
Ms. Newberry?
How big's the hole?
With a septic tank, I would see about maybe 6 feet wide and the whole that. We try to throw stuff in, but it just sinks in.
How deep's the hole?
How deep it is? I don't know right off of a measurement how deep it is.
How far away?
Big enough for a septic tank, that's what it was, the hole was.
How far away from the building is the hole?
Maybe 10 or 12 feet.
Is it secured to keep children away from the hole?
Yeah, we got stuff around to secure it right now.
Thank you.
Basically, what we talking about, one dump truck load?
Two
the most?
truck, two the most, yeah,
Two the
just to
most.
fill in the hole, yeah, just to fill in.
We're just asking the council permission to authorize Scott Roussel to do that and get that out the way. And I know maybe Rennie will get involved and say whatever his objections are, whatever.
Mr. Russo?
Does the legal department approve this?
Yeah, y'all can pass the resolution. I just won't authorize it till I'm convinced that there's a public purpose and I haven't received enough facts to make that determination yet. So if you pass the resolution and I'm presented with enough facts and we're convinced that it's either something we did wrong or it was pursuant to some other public project that was authorized, I'll release it. But until I'm comfortable with that, I would not make that recommendation to the maintenance folks.
I just want to add this to it. Mr. Roussel, if I, you have the floor.
Floor is yours.
Okay. I just want to make the fact known that I wouldn't be here asking for no personal vendetta, but I'm asking because that project was never completed by the sewer, I forgot, McMillan, whoever the sewer company was. And that was the last part of that project. And when the storm came, those people never came back. They never came back. And that meant that it was one of them that was left undone. So I'm not asking you to do anything on the private land that wasn't supposed to be part of the contract, that wasn't fulfilled. Now, how you find that out, you have to go through with the engineering department. They could tell you exactly about all that, and also, the sewer people, Robert Morgan, I know Robert was there at the time, but they was involved in developing that sewer line. That's what that was all about. So,
Mr. Barrett?
right now, with that, we'll call for the question.
The problem I'm having
ahead.
with this is I have constituents that has come to me that have had issues since Katrina too, that the parish didn't come fulfill their obligations.
Sewer
So
lines?
it could be a multiple
I'm
thing.
just asking, whatever it is.
Well, it could be a road problem, roads that we used. I mean, it's part of the same thing. It's
No.
public, it's private property that,
But that's not the same.
so Katrina's not the same?
Yeah, no, the project was the parish project. Was those highways or thing that you talking about, was that part of projects
Part of a project.
that wasn't completed?
I don't have an answer to that, but I know it was public use that we use and we never fulfilled.
This was rural development block grants that came in to deal with this problem, and that never was finished. Because when the storm came, those people left out of it.
Okay, well, I don't have a problem with that. Can we defer this until Mr. Beers gets an answer?
Well, he
was
said
supposed
he's
to do
not
this
gonna
last time.
pass it, and he said he's not gonna do it if you have an issue problem. He's not gonna authorize them to do it. He just said that. So if he do find the information that give him the legal ramification he's looking for, he just go it on and process it and move forward. And get it over with. That's because it's a bad situation.
If this passes and you find this is illegal, we can't continue to do this project, to do this. Is that correct, Mr. Beers? I mean, how's that work?
I didn't understand that last.
If this resolution passes and you find this illegal, is this something y'all gonna continue?
If I find it's illegal, is that what you said?
Exactly.
Yeah, no, we wouldn't, I wouldn't authorize.
Because it's just a resolution, is that correct?
Correct, right. All I'm saying is, whether y'all pass a resolution or not is up to y'all. All I'm saying is that until enough facts are presented to me, that this isn't gonna be an illegal donation of some sort, I won't authorize it. But somebody's gotta present those facts to me, and I have to be convinced that it was pursuant to some public project, et cetera. I'm not trying to impute ill motives to anyone. Understand a lot of stuff went on during Katrina. And so, but I will honestly look at whatever facts are presented to me and make that determination.
Is the council in some jeopardy if we pass a resolution not knowing whether it's legal or not? I mean, I feel uncomfortable voting. I mean, I want to see it get fixed if it indeed is legal, but I feel uncomfortable voting on something I don't even know is legal or not.
Well, if you want to amend it, you can amend the resolution to say subject to legal review by the parish attorney. That would cure the defect. I would not recommend that we get in the habit of doing this though. And that would be my recommendation. I mean, you yourselves wouldn't be doing anything illegal because the donation would not have happened until somebody actually did something. So, but my recommendation would be if you all want to pass it, amend it to say subject to legal review by the parish attorney.
Mr. Russo offers the amendment. Hold on a second. Mr. Russo,
I'll offer the following amendment, subject to the attorney's approval and review.
is that sufficient, Ronnie?
Subject to legal review and approval by the parish attorney.
Is that fine, Mr. Russo?
So offered.
Mr. Russo offers it. I have a second.
I'll second it.
Second, Mr. LaFrance. Any questions or comments on the amendment? This is on the amendment only. All right, none. Machine is open. Passes 8-0. Mr. Bartholomew, how do you want to proceed with the ordinance as amended? All right. I think it's got the, I mean, all right. Questions or comments?
Let me just ask something before.
Mr.
Do we
Fulham.
know that contractor, did they get paid in full? The one that was doing the work?
Last leg, I think we held up some of that money
So we held up some of the money, okay.
on that last part. That's down in Bohemian Island.
Uh-huh.
That was the last leg. Because we were supposed to overlay that road at the same time, and we didn't do that.
Go ahead, sir.
My name is Clarence Brox. I live in Phoenix, Louisiana. I am a member of that church, and Reverend Cross is my pastor. And I think I could solve that problem with no cost to the parish. I have some equipment that I could, if the parish supplied the dirt, I could take care of that job. Fill up the hole. And there is some dirt on the back highway where they're cleaning up the drainage ditch. If y'all let me get some of that dirt, I got the equipment to fill the hole. So I'm asking for permission to get the dirt off the back highway to fill up the hole. And that'll solve the problem. It won't cost the parish anything, and I'll be able to go on the property.
It serves a public purpose.
Mr. Kagnovich.
How much is a load of dirt over here?
The hole is probably 5 foot deep, and the diameter probably like 5 or 6 foot in diameter.
How much is a truckload of dirt?
How much a truckload of dirt is? All depending on who you buying it from. Some guys have a truckload of dirt probably costs about, the dirt itself probably costs about $150. But the truck is the expensive. The average guy gonna charge you $250 for the truck.
Do we know anybody with a truck? I'll donate the mud.
If I got the equipment, I got the truck, not the truck, I got the equipment to haul the dirt and load the dirt and unload the dirt. It won't cost the parish anything. They only just ask permission to get the dirt off the back highway.
I'll give you the money to buy a load of dirt.
To buy the dirt from the parish?
Me. Whoever you buy mud from.
We don't, think you gotta go to St. Bernard and get dirt.
I would say-
You don't have no dirt on our side, but they don't dig no pits in
We ain't got no pits?
No, we don't have
Pits
pits
in the parish.
No, we don't have that.
Only thing we'll be able to buy is sand. They don't sell mud and dirt. They talking about we could go to St. Bernard Parish and buy sand. You know, from one of the
It fell a hole.
sand pits. I'm just trying to solve the problem without no cost to the parish. And like I said, I'm a member of the church, and I would like to see the hole closed myself.
Any other questions or comments before we dig ourselves a deeper hole? Hey, all right. I'll be out of here later tonight as well. 5 o'clock. Yeah. I think, I'm sure it's gonna pass, and then I guess y'all can negotiate whatever, you know, with the administration. All right, no other questions or comments? Machine is open.
Oh, man.
Passes 8-0. F.
An ordinance to amend and is amended readopt Plaquemines Parish Code of Ordinances, Chapter 12.5, Grant and Aid Programs, to annul, rescind, and set aside ordinance number 448, number 498, and number 511, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Mr. Bartholomew,
I'd like to offer but for discussion only at this time.
offer for discussion only.
Yes, right now.
We have a second. Second, Mr. Kagnovich. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, I had some questions about this grant aid. Why are we turning this over to the parish president and not voting on this as a council? If someone could explain, maybe legal, y'all been working on this?
I don't think
Danny, would you please let Danny Ham talk about that? Because he's the one drafted it up, if you don't mind. Then you can do it after.
Ms. Newberry, the original grant and aid program, because Mr. Bartholomew came with the idea of trying to figure out a way to help poor people who have a road that needs help, which is permissible under the law, and I drafted those ordinances for other parishes. When I first looked at y'all's ordinance, y'all already had one. Now, it's a very old ordinance, and it referred back to the old commission council. So everything ran through and it was all phrased about going through the commission council. So when we started looking at what was the sort of the most efficient way to administer something like this, instead of having it come through the council every time for a vote, is just make it more administrative. And since the parish president's office handles the administrative provisions, now I did put in one mechanism in the ordinance where if someone was denied, or if the parish didn't, if a council member didn't think the parish should be awarding the assistance, that there is a mechanism for the council to either veto what the parish president did or to order them to go ahead and award it. But just from an administrative standpoint, it seemed like something that worked better through the administration.
Should there be a cap on that?
Well, and we sort of did, in the sense that it is always still subject to this council having a sufficient appropriation in a fund for this purpose. Like I said, this thing has existed for a long time. It hadn't been funded in any time that I'm aware of. Like I said, this ordinance still referred back to the commission council, so this is a very old ordinance, and we were just trying to bring it up to speed.
Okay, and it's being deferred for what reason?
I think the parish attorney had a couple of more questions about it. I think we worked out most of it just to clarify that it's not just for everybody. People have to meet certain criterion, and you're only doing it really in circumstances where you truly can do it under the Constitution as a program for the needy. And there were a couple other questions that they wanted to work on, just wordsmithing it a bit. The hope was we bring it back next meeting for y'all's full consideration.
Thank you.
Mr. Beers, you want to comment now? Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
No, I'll just say I'm working with the council attorney to
Okay.
massage this so that you all can get it passed. I had a few concerns that we're working through.
Anybody else have any comment? If not, Councilman Black, we just defer.
All right, item F is deferred. Item H, please.
A resolution to appoint Mr. Jeff DeMarco as chairperson and Mr. Victor Scarzoni as vice chairperson of the Plaquemines Parish Development Board for a term of 2 years ending on February 28, 2022, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Mr. Albro.
Offer is read.
Offered, second by Mr. Bartholomew. Any questions, Mr. Russo?
I spoke to Ms. Amitra, and are the members that we have on the zoning board now, are their terms expired? Because it said that they were appointed for 2 years, and that's what I was trying to find out. Do we have to reappoint members at this time, or Ms. Amitra might have found out the answer, I don't know.
Hello, sorry about my shoes. I forgot my other shoes at home. At the beginning of 2019 was a resolution passed that appointed them for 4 years for the term of 2019 to 2022, December 31st, 2022. So with that resolution, they'll remain current for the 4 years. And usually by the charter, they're supposed to be appointed every 2 years and then reappointed, or a new person can fill in or sit in. But with that resolution, they should be okay.
I would ask the legal department just to make sure that we're in line with the charter, if the charter says 2 years.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that, and just so you know that there is I guess what I would call a backstop provision that says that members can continue to serve until their replacement is appointed. So I don't think we would be running afoul of anything, but I'll certainly take a closer look at this with Ms. Amitra.
Right, that is correct. That's the language that I was looking for yesterday to tell you about the concurrent, and Mr. Barris found it.
You found the language that said they serve until replaced?
That, what you just quoted
Yeah,
about.
that's consistent practice, right?
It's consistent practice, but it's not in our ordinance.
I'll have to look at the specific
Okay.
charter, but what I'm just saying is that there are state statutes out there that allow people to continue to serve until their replacement's appointed.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the table? From the audience? All right, the machine is open.
Thank you.
Passes 8-0. Aye, please.
A resolution conditionally approving a plan of re-subdivision of a portion of tract 3-D-2A of Bell Chase Plantation is shown on the Parks of Plaquemines Phase 3, Phase 3D, being a re-subdivision of a part of Section B, Bell Chase Plantation, into lots 172 through 192, lots 234 through 248, Homeowners Association Tract 11H, and streets by Bryant Hammond and Associates, certified by Hugh McCurdy III, PLS, dated October 16, 2019, without cost to the Plaquemines Parish government or the parish of Plaquemines.
Mr. Albro?
Offer is read.
Offer is read. Do you have a second? Second, Mr. Kokrovich. Any questions or comments from the table? From the audience? All right, with none, the machine is open. Passes 8-0. K, please.
An ordinance to amend and as amended, readopt the Plaquemines Parish Code of Ordinances, Section 2-17, Rules for Transaction of Business Before the Council, Chapter 1, Meetings of the Plaquemines Parish Council, Rule 1, to annul, rescind, and set aside ordinance number 13-165 and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Mr. Kokrovich.
Offer.
Offered. Ask for a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bartholomew. Any questions or comments from the table? From the audience? All right, with none, the machine is open. It passes 5-3. Item L, please.
A resolution certifying that the urgent need national policy objective is being met under the Community Development Block Grant Discovery Disaster Recovery for Program for the Oyster Hatchery Bureau's Boat Harbor Site Mitigation Project.
For a vote. Mr. Kokrovich, I'm sorry. Mr. Kokrovich, office, Mr. LaFrance seconds. Any questions or comments on L?
You need to know any, Mr. Helmers could answer it.
Anything from the audience? Mr. Newberger.
Is this a grant that we received already? Or is this a grant that we're applying for?
Mr. Helmers? Mike, please. Mike.
It's already there.
This is already completed. This is just wrapping it up. This is an old project.
Okay. And our match is that our match, $273,753? Is that in the budget already for 2020, since this has already been in place?
It was done years ago.
This was done years ago.
Oh,
This is like,
okay.
5, 6
And do we
years
have
ago.
that money set aside for this?
It's already
I'm not, this is the first time.
He's trying to see if they following the
So this doesn't have anything to do with money, just accepting the grant?
Right.
Okay.
There's no expenditure here.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Russo?
I have the same concern, so the matching funds have already been,
Everything's been paid. This is a
I'd ask the finance department to tell me that.
oyster hatchery.
I don't know here. Yeah, I don't know. I don't
We
have
can look.
Look, but we don't have that information with us.
My concern is that this has already been done, everything's finished and over. Why are we adopting this today with a match of 273,000? I mean, I have the same concern as Ms. Newberry. I would ask that we defer this item until we get it cleared.
This might be a different site.
Well, if it's not, if it's a different site and it's new, then we have the match.
It's the same site. It was done in Beers.
I don't know, this wasn't our,
What's that? We plan on being out of here soon now.
Want to pass over it or withdraw it?
What's your recommendation, Mr. Burris? You want to pass, you want to defer it? All right, you want to withdraw your second? Mr. LaFrance withdraws, removes the second, deferred by Mr. Kokrovich?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, M,
A resolution authorizing and directing the parish president or his designee to advertise to lease the second floor of the Popich Building at fair market value and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Mr. Russo,
Offer this filed.
offered. Any second by Mr. LaFrance? Any questions or comments from the table? From the audience?
Can someone tell the public what's the square footage of rent space that's available and how much per square foot that the market bear in Belchase?
I think that that'll be up to the administration. This will authorize them to do that and to engage in solicitations, and they'll put that fact sheet together, and they'll be able to tell you that. And if you're interested in submitting a bid to lease it, I think you can file it with
As the public, it's a public building, and we need to know how much you pay per square footage for the rent that space.
And when we accept that lease or that offer, we will definitely announce that, but at this point, we don't have anybody.
That's all I wanted to know. I'll be looking for it.
Thank you.
Maybe we can use it for the ferry department. They'll be close to the port, Benny.
Now, we're not renting this, we're putting this out for the market. Okay.
Do we need space for the ferry
I
department?
don't include my personal business in government business.
All right, any other questions or comments from the table? From the audience? All right, what's done, the machine is open. Passes 8-0. P,
An ordinance to amend the five-year capital improvements plan, ATV Off-Road Park Project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Mr. Russo.
Yes, I'll offer it as filed.
Offer, ask for a second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Kokavich. Mr. Russo, you have any comments?
I don't, unless you have any questions.
Any questions from the table? From the audience? All right, if none, the machine is open.
Mr. Bartholomew.
Thank you.
Passes 8-0. Q, please. I'm sorry, Q. Do we need to do Q? No, Richie's not here. He wants you to go with it? All right, Q.
A resolution to appoint replacement members to the Coastal Zone Advisory Committee and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Mr. Kokavich, you have those?
Offer.
Offered. Any second?
Second.
Mr. LaFrance, seconds. Questions, comments?
Same members, he's just extending.
All right, questions, comments from the table? From the audience? All right, with none, the machine is open.
Mr. Bartholomew.
Passes 8-0. R, please.
A resolution of the recognizing the final form and execution of the bond purchase agreement in connection with the issuance and sale of blank revenue funding bonds of the Parish of Plaquemine, State of Louisiana, Series 2020 of the Parish of Plaquemine, State of Louisiana, and providing for other matters in connection therewith.
Mr. LaFrance?
So offered.
Offered. You have the blanks? Or was Ms. Marcotte to have them? You have the blanks, Ms. Marcotte?
I would like to yield the floor to Mr. Lee
I don't want a
Bressler.
second without the, yeah, he doesn't get a second. Second, that's what I'm saying, that's what I'm asking for. Before we get a second, I'm trying to get the blanks filled in, if anybody has the blanks.
I'm sorry. Hardy Andrews of Foley and Udell. It's 14-5.
Well, hold on one second, hold on. You have a copy of the resolution in front of you?
I don't. I've got an electronic copy. I apologize. It's 14,500,000 is the number that should be in the blank there.
In both blanks? Okay, so line 3, name that number, put the number again?
14-5.
14-5, yes.
Okay, and then line 13, same number? Line 35, what's the date?
Line 13, that's the previous resolution that was offered, and that authorized 16 million for line 13.
Okay, so 14.5 on line 3, 16 million on line 13. Line 35, November what?
We got ahead of you there. Line 3 and line 13 are the exact same. What the parish president and the secretary of the government offered at 14.5. That is the correct number. Should be 14.5 for both of those.
All right. So line 3 and 13 are 14.5.
That's correct.
All right, how about line 35?
That would be the last meeting, which I believe was November 14th.
Okay, and then line 43.
That would be, bear with me 1 second. It's a Build America Mutual Assurance Corporation.
Okay. With that, Ms. LaFrance offers with those additions, and Ms. Russo seconds. All right, go ahead, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Like I said a moment ago, my name's Hardy Andrews with Foley and Udell. I'm here for Mr. Martin and Mr. Akers. They apologize for not being able to be here today. There was a scheduling conflict, so you guys are stuck with me. The resolution before you basically is ministerial in nature, and what it does is recognize the final form and the execution of the bonds that were purchased that was previously authorized in your November meeting. That resolution set some parameters, and this is a memorialization of what occurred after that resolution was passed. Most importantly, the resolution before you puts on the record the roughly $2 million in savings that this refunding issue is going to give to the parish. And with that, I will yield.
Good afternoon. I'm Lee Bressler with Raymond James, and you all should all have a little small booklet in front of you, and I'll just go through that very, very quickly and answer any questions that you have. If you look on page 4, you'll see this shows where the bond market is, and if you look in that gray box, 99.1% of the time, 30-year bonds have been above the current rate. So we're talking about hitting it at the historic lows in interest rates, which is exactly what you want to do when you refund your bonds. If you look on page 6, in the green, the actual results shows the total estimated present value savings of $1,832,000. And that, as a percentage, is about 10.5%. As we mentioned at the last meeting, anything above 5% is considered very, very attractive by the State Bond Commission. At the last meeting, we were projecting $1,542,000. So this is, again, a couple of $100,000 more than what we predicted at the November meeting when you all approved us to proceed. If you look on the next page, on page 7, you'll see the actual savings. So starting in 2021, you're saving about $260,000 a year. And some of that is your own money, the $534,000, but it's a $2 million net savings. In addition, we've freed up another $542,000 from the reserve fund. Again, that's your money, but it went from restricted to unrestricted, and that can be used in your capital budget, or I think has already been used in your capital budget. The next page is on page 8, just shows the cost, the transaction costs, and again, these are very much in line with the numbers that were presented at the last meeting. On page 9, this shows the actual orders that we received. We went out with an estimated interest rates, and we got surveyed the market and got orders in, and we actually had $26 million worth of orders for 14.5 of bonds. So we're able to go back and reduce yields, as we mentioned here, on several of the maturities that we had more orders than we had bonds. But we were a lot of these, we came in right at 1 times coverage, so we hit it right on the mark. Some of them we had a little excess, and we were able to reduce yields. And if you look on page 10, you'll see the market. We had 23 separate orders, 7 different institutional investors, as well as some individual investors that made up that the 26 million of orders. That's what you want. You want to get a wide array of investors interested so that you could then try to push the yields down, further than what where they were offered. I know I went very, very quickly. I'm happy to answer any questions or not.
Other questions from the table? Mr. Russo?
Yes, thank y'all for your great work in saving us all of these funds. Excuse me, on first year in 2020, the savings of $17,000, and the reason that number is there because of the fees that are taken out prior to
No,
that?
the fees come out of the bond issue, but because this is a refunding and you've already got a lot of your debt service in place for that year, it doesn't start accruing until the old bonds are actually paid off.
So the real savings started in 2021?
Calendar year, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this is a projection over 10 years that we will save
These are the actual figures. We've already sold the bonds,
2
and
million, no, but I mean, there were 2 million we will save over 10 years is what it is?
yes, that's correct.
Do you see an opportunity for us to do more?
We're going to certainly take a look at that and see. You have some other bonds that are getting closer to the call date, and we'll be doing an analysis and providing it to Tommy about that and Mr. Lapine about that as well, and see if there's interest in pursuing those now or waiting until closer to the call date.
And just so everybody really understands that this does not extend our time period out on the debt. It actually saves us money and reduces the note within the same time frame.
Correct. There was no debt extension. It mirror imaged the payment schedule that you had, just you're paying less each time.
So it's a true savings for the people to know, Arthur. True savings to be able to say that we are paying the debt off at the same period of time, but with less money.
Correct. Because the
people to
interest rates
know.
are lower, yes.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Mr. Newberry?
The cost, y'all cost is $210,625, is that correct, on page 8?
That includes all the transaction costs.
Is that an upfront cost?
That's paid out of the bond proceeds, so these savings are net of those costs.
Okay, so it's not an upfront cost, or we have to write you a check?
No, it's coming out of bond proceeds, and then it's netted out of the savings.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, Mr. LaFrance?
Mr. Surprise, what is your idea? How you think it did?
It's went wonderful. I mean, the savings was a lot, well, it was a lot more than we anticipated. You know, like I said, they hit it at the right mark, right time, and everything went well.
Mr. Bresser, I would like to thank you and thank Raymond James for all y'all efforts.
We certainly appreciate that. The other thing I wanted to mention is that the market was very receptive to your bonds, and that is actually due to the work that you guys are doing as far as running the parish. The rating report came in very attractive. We were able to get bond insurance at a very attractive cost, premium, to get you even a higher rating. And the combination of all that and the good work that you all are doing certainly helped us sell the bonds. So we can certainly get credit for doing what we did, but you were all the ones that created the story that we were able to sell.
I want to bring this up too. A big thing, we go through, with the S&P every year, we go through a rating. They look at our ratings and they review it and they ask us a bunch of questions. One of the biggest things is that bond indebtedness. If we don't keep that bond indebtedness in there, that fund in there, it will affect our rating. And next time they try to do this, you probably won't save as much money if your rates will go down. So, I mean, the rates will actually go up, but that's what I'm trying to say. That it's, they really look at that bond indebtedness designation that's sitting out there. So everything that we can do to keep that there it's a good thing.
Is there a minimum?
For bond indebtedness? No, there's no minimum. It's something y'all can take all the money out if you wanted to. It's up to you. It's just, you can raise it as high as you want. There is a maximum of $10 million. Anything that, once it hits the max, the rest of it goes into parish-wide sewer, but we haven't even been able to reach the max lately because all royalties are so low. But that's something to think about. And next, as you do the budgeting, that bond indebtedness is really important.
Other questions or comments? Mr. Russo?
Yeah, that was the point I was going to ask. The bond indebtedness fund helped us with our rating. And as Tommy said, it's set at 10, but that's by ordinance. If we really wanted to, we could raise that bond indebtedness fund. We just don't have the money to do it. But that ordinance has done us a world of good by keeping bond indebtedness funding, and that's why it's important, as Tommy said, to keep the bond indebtedness fund. And the number that we have been using is the annual payment. So when we go for a rating, we have that annual payment already set aside in advance, which gives us this good rating. So I encourage everyone to remember that when we go to budget hearings, to try to keep that bond indebtedness fund intact as much as possible. And I'm sure it's not that today, though.
Yes, for 2020, we were able to keep it at the, 1-year bond payment. So it is $8.7 million, I think, something like that.
Okay, good.
Any other questions or comments?
Since you were discussing ratings, is that Moody's or S&P. What's the rating number? You know, what is it? Is it an A, triple A? E?
We had provided a rating report at the last meeting, but I think it was an A+, which is very, very good.
Hey, look, I applaud you guys, man. It's about time. Everything is up front and above board. I enjoy this. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions, comments from the audience? All right, with none, the machine is open. Pass 8-0. S, please.
An ordinance to amend the five-year capital improvements plan, repairs Diamond Park project to accept donations from Venture Global and Conoco, and to amend the 2019 operating revenue budget and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Mr. LaFrance?
I'll offer with changes.
So-
On line 5, cross out has received, and place is authorized to accept. And with those changes, I so offer.
Do you have a second? Second, Ms. Skyrovich. Mr. LaFrance, take the mic, please, if you don't mind. I gotta-
Is there any question from the table? I have seconded from Mr. Konovich. Any question from the table? Any questions from the audience? Hearing none, the machines are open. And the measure passes 7-0. We'll move to the next item.
T, a resolution certifying that the urgent need national policy objective is being met under the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Program for the South Plaquemines United Fisheries Grand Bayou Boat Dock Project.
So offered. Seconded by Mr. Konovich. Mr. Helmer.
That's going to fall under the same category as the oysters. It's cleaning up, the project is finished. This is cleaning up and finalizing the grant. That's the word we got back from Ms. Hilda, right, Rennie?
Mr. Beers?
Spoke to Ms. Hilda, and it's just resolutions required by the state in order to close the project on their side. It simply shows that there were parish funds used on the project. The project has been closed on the parish side for quite some time, and there are no expenditures or no new funding involved. And these are pretty typical when you deal with these grants. It's mountains and mountains of paperwork that the state requires.
Is there any question from the table? Any questions from the audience? Hearing none, the machines are open.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's okay, it's okay. I know what it
Okay.
is. Just play.
Thank you. Yeah, go back to Mr. Karnovich's one. L. Thank you, Mr. LaFrance.
A resolution certifying that the urgent need national policy objective is being met under the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Program for the Oyster Hatchery Bureau's Boat Harbor Site Mitigation Project.
Ms. Karnovich offers.
Second.
Second by Mr. LaFrance. Any questions or comments from the table? From the audience? All right, with none, the machine is open. Passes 8-0. All right, you, this is deferred. No, you're deferred. All right, Mr. President, you want to go to status report? Do you have any? All right, anything from the directors?
Quick briefing on that Supreme Court case under his thing.
I'm gonna open up item 4 real quick and turn it over to Danny just to give us a Supreme Court ruling briefing that affects the parish. Danny?
Yep. just to report that on December 11th, the Louisiana Supreme Court issued an opinion in what we've referred to as the Act 274 litigation, affirming the decision of the 19th Judicial District Court that a provision of Act 274, specifically the funding mechanism for the Louisiana Uniform Local Sales Tax Board, was unconstitutional. Act 274 actually funded this board that the state created by redirecting a small percentage of local sales taxes on the sale of vehicles. And Plaquemines, along with St. James and West Feliciana, originally filed suit challenging that. Basically, the Supreme Court ruled that Constitution Article 6, Section 29, prohibited the legislature from redirecting local sales taxes to a use other than included in the ballot measure under which those taxes were levied. So it's pretty significant in the sense. It wasn't a huge amount of money to begin with, but it was going to be ongoing forever. And although I think as of the date of trial, which was about a year ago, the parish had actually, they had withheld a little, about $6,500, and then continued doing it for a while until the judge issued his ruling. On total, for all local governments in the state, they had redirected around $1.5 million since the act became effective. But the court upheld the trial court's ruling that they are prohibited from doing that, and they are barred from dispersing any more money to the board. I think there will be a process to try to get some of that money back. But what it does is it creates a barrier to the legislature ever deciding that it sees a need for your local taxes and taking them. So it's a pretty significant ruling from that perspective.
All right, thank you. Any questions or comments from the table on that?
Yeah, you said 1 point, how much?
1.5 million
Is that-
over the life.
Is that between the two parishes?
No, actually, it's all of the taxing bodies in the state. In Louisiana, each parish has a sales tax collector, and in this parish, the parish is the collector. In St. James, the school board is the collector. And what they did is, instead of having money that flows through the Office of Motor Vehicles come directly to the parishes, they were skimming off a little piece and sending it to this board. And for all local governments, just in that first year and a half, it amounted to about a $1.5 million. And actually, under the act, was scheduled to go up as far as the percentage, to where it was going to be about $1.5 million per year, not year and a half. So,
And can I ask you, this board that's skimming this money, what do they use it for? Is this going back into the state?
this board was ostensibly created to assist local collectors
Right.
In the administration of local sales tax. And that's a perfectly valid purpose. The only problem is they didn't bother letting the collector decide if they needed the board's assistance. They were just making everybody pay for it. And that's what the court ruled was unconstitutional. If, for example, if Kimberly Gertner decides that there's a service that this board can provide her that will make it easier or more efficient for her to collect the sales taxes in Plaquemines Parish, she can contract with him to do that. They just ruled that the legislature can't make that decision for each local collector and mandate that they pay for a board that they might not use.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? All right, with none, we'll move to item 10A1.
Introduction of suspensions wherein introduction of resolutions wherein suspension is being sought. 10A1, a resolution adopting the pro se verbal and proclamation of the canvass of the votes cast, the special election held in Plaquemines Parish, State of Louisiana on Saturday, November 16, 2019. Councilmember Black.
I'll offer, and this was requested by the attorneys who had the firm that just left fully. You have a second? Second, Mr. Kaganovich. Any questions or comments? This is on the suspension. You get a verbal yes, passes 8-0 with a verbal yes from District 1. Reread for the final.
A resolution adopting the pro se verbal and proclamation of the canvass of votes cast the special election held in the parish of Plaquemines, State of Louisiana on Saturday, November 16, 2019, and otherwise to provide with, Councilmember Black.
Offer ask for a second. Ms. Kaganovich seconds. Any questions or comments? Sorry, Mr. Albright. Any questions or comments from the table, from the audience? All right, with none, the machine is open. Passes 8-0. All right, item 10B, we want to just do 1, 2, 3, and 4 together, John?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
All right, B, 1, 2, 3, and 4, if you read those out, Ms. Marcotte.
District 1 update. Number 1, discussion regarding organizations which receive grants from the Plaquemines Parish government. Number 2, discussion regarding a fire in East Bank. Number 3, discussion regarding lease of parish property and land. Number 4, discussion regarding the funds spent on the Bell Chase Pavilion.
Mr. Bartholomew.
Yeah, the discussion on the grants is that after making contact with the auditors, it is best practice that we audit all of the organizations that we give grants to yearly. So at this point, I'm really requesting that the audit committee do all the rest of the organization that we gave money to this fiscal years and years past, last 3 years, and to have our auditor audit those organizations, making sure that we all are in compliance. Okay, number 2, regarding the fire on the East Bank. We had a fire in Bracewell right off of Highway 39 earlier during the week. It was a 3-story home that caught a fire. And I was up there, and we had lost pressure. Pressure was very low. And at one point, pressure dropped. We didn't have any pressure at all. And from my understanding, what that took place when we went back and cut off the booster station at Woodlawn, the pressure came back up. But the problem is that we have some serious problem on the northern end up there with the water line. It's very deteriorating. And you know that we had applied, appropriate some funding for some grants, the grant money, to try to correct that as quickly as possible. So I have a question here to the President and Administration to maybe come up with a plan of action in the very near future, how we can start rolling on adding the completion of that whole project in terms of what it will take us to get it done, since it's so important up there with that fire protection, and the condition of the lines are in very bad shape. So whenever we get a plan of action, I'd like to know that whatever the plan is down the road, so we can start moving forward with that. And whatever I need to do, we want to facilitate that and get it done. So whenever y'all can make up a plan, let me know.
We have a plan for the grant money. There was grant money that was in place for Highway 39. The grant money was moved to English Turn Road because that's where the problem area is, where we have trouble with brakes. They are designing the project right now. It will be out for bid in January to begin construction of the project.
I thought it was already designed. The project was already designed. I thought we had paid to get that design a while before y'all came in.
The whole thing is designed. They're just putting it together for that portion.
So, but anyway, we need to do the whole project. That we're looking at that down the road, because we still have to be accountable for that kind of stuff in any way possible that we can get the posture to get it done. That's all I'm asking.
Area is being addressed.
Well, I don't know, but I'm just saying.
And we need more capital outlay money to address the rest of it.
So that's why I'm asking the administration to get with it, trying to figure out a way to do that, and let me know which way we want to move in the direction we can move in to get it done down the road. I know you can't do it right now, but we can make a plan of action. All right. The second point, another question. The property and land. I had a conversation with our attorney, very fruitful, about trying to develop the lease on our duck ponds, to lease the land so we can bring in additional revenues to lease our land if it's not too incumbent upon doing a whole lot of work or research or legal fees or whatever, to see what can be done, just as we did 2 years ago, I think, with the alligator situation. Well, we got over $100,000. I know what we have last year, but I think we need to revisit that as well, because that was very instrumental in getting some additional funding. And a lot of people like to hunt, so we know that. So we can develop a prize of all the lands that we have and lease them by ponds, and with it, because I'm still 300, 400, 500, 600, whatever it is, that'll be additional money that we can collect and put in our revenue source. Pavilion, all I just like to know is that whenever we can find out exactly all the expenditure, the money that was spent on it, and where the money came from, because I wasn't up to date on any of that. I'd just like to know, because I know it cost us some money. I don't know how much it was in getting that done, and what was the initial cost to do an audit, I guess, and to really see exactly what's happening, but what was done, where it came from. And the last thing I want to talk about is in the future is the culverts on the east bank, the levee. Those culverts need to be corrected because of the fact that we're no longer in the federal system. We are conditionally, but conditions mean that you have to prepare those culverts. And the problem is that with the Grand Prairie Levee District funding mechanism, the money is allocated specifically for drainage and restoring the levees. So I think we need to looking into the future, some kind of way to start using some of that money which is dedicated for the rural royalty from the rural royalty fund, not the rural royalty, I'm talking the Grand Prairie Levee District Fund, to make sure we can complete that project. They're working on it, but we have 9 culverts. We got the one right now just about went through the whole process and waiting on the Corps with telling us what they want to do. It's rather to close it or not close it, but it's cleaned out and it's been viewed and all the data and everything is removed from it. It's ready for them to make a determination what they want to do. But we have 8 others that we need to be responsible for, and it's going to cost a couple of $1 million to do that. So we really need to start addressing that as well. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank y'all very much. Appreciate it. And Mr. President, I appreciate you and your staff. Whenever you get something, give me a holler so I can let the people know. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bartholomew. Item C, District 9 update, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Mr. Kagnovich, I don't think we need to read them. Go ahead.
Discussion regarding Highway 11. Number 2, discussion regarding the four-wheeler park. Number 3, discussion regarding boat harbors. And number 4, discussion regarding Fort Jackson.
Ms. Kagnovich.
About Highway 11, I see a bunch of orange marks on the road, but I wanted to see when we was gonna do something about them.
Well, did you receive the email from Mr. Dugas today or yesterday?
I want to point out them pictures. That ain't the road in the shoulder. That's the road. That was the best parts of the road.
Well, we are addressing it, Mr. Kagnovich.
And the grass looks good on South Highway 11 and the 23 and the river roads. I hope we could keep up with it.
Well, thank you.
Four-wheeler park. I cut the grass around the $49,000 cement slab, but I'd like to know about the rest of the park.
The four-wheeler park?
Yeah, across from the fort.
Is it, I don't know, is it an operational or it's not?
Don't know. Don't know if there's a park out there.
Well, I can tell you, we'll look into it.
All right. And then the Fort Jackson, I appreciate the lawnmower and the help cutting the grass. And again, I hope we could keep it cut, because I want to keep it open. I'd like to keep the barricades around the cave, caves, and just let people walk around in the inside.
We appreciate your help with making the Orange Festival successful, keeping the grass cut. And we will do our best to keep it. Now, we want to make sure legally that we can. I'm not opposed to opening the fort. I'd like to make sure that legally we can. Okay?
And then the boat harbors. I rode to the Venice boat harbor and the Buras boat harbor. I counted all the boats. There's 100 slips taken in the Venice boat harbor and 99 in the Buras boat harbor. At the shrimp dock in the Venice boat harbor, they had 40 boats tied up, which they're not supposed to be there. Buras boat harbor had 34 boats tied up there. That's not supposed to be there. They had one water leak. They took electric tape and went around the pipe to fix the leak. I don't think that's a good enough solution. And they had another leak on one of the docks. On slip 4, they had 5 boxes for fire extinguishers with 2 fire extinguishers that was expired in 2014. The other boxes were empty. Slip 5 had 1 box that was empty. I think we need to take a survey of the Buras boat harbor because I think the people in the back are using parish property for offloading and loading boats and all. Boat harbors need shells because the roads are deplorable. And I have somebody here like to talk about it too.
I have a question. You
Sure.
mentioned extra boats in the slips. Is that extra, I mean, is this on a daily basis, or is just, you just happen to
It's
have?
every day.
And where's our harbor master that we pay?
Don't know. The Bureau's Boat Harbor Masters in Empire.
How many masters do we have?
One in Empire, one in Venice.
And are they work 40-hour weeks, and can I ask you what their description is?
Have to ask John.
Currently, their description kind of fits everyone that's around there besides being the harbor master. I don't think they understand the magnitude of being harbor master. I've just taken over the boat harbors. We've had our first meeting together, and it's going to be a training period to let them know and understand. I've even brought them each a copy of the ordinance to show them some of their duties and what they're charged with. I really feel that they believe that they were just there to take care of the grass, watch the docks. We don't have any processes in place. All that stuff's being developed right now. As you said, not only the fire extinguishers, but we know about the broken boards, the ramps that need to be fixed, the lights, the water. It's a truckload of work that needs to be done, and we have started the last few weeks. We're in tents on the Venice Marina right now. They're cutting grass, they're cleaning up, we're getting everything organized, but at the same time, we're developing best practices for each person to understand their job duty. I don't think they were ever formally trained. So that's where we're at right now.
But I also noticed at the dock we was trying to rent, there's 2 boats tied up there. There's a truck with a trailer, and then there's all kind of trash, a sofa and all. So,
Yeah, we have a tough problem with squatters right now. And in an effort to do that, we've had some of these stickers develop, which will, I'll bring it up here, pass this around, which will be put on the squatter boats and any boats that are in violation in the harbor to let them know, to let them physically see that we have to remove them. And then we'll have to take it to legal, which we're working with legal on all the boats and everything like that.
and then
I mean, we have some boats that are in the shipyard that's been there 5-6 years.
I was gonna bring that up. One of them has a person living on it. There's a person living in the Bureau's Boat Harbor. And then there's crab fishermen that built their own docks along the bank.
Now, those are leased. I don't know who approved that in the past, but those are leased along the way.
Then, before I go up on rent on anybody in the boat harbor, I got a list of all the people that owe money, and there's one that owes $116,000. So I think Mr. Burris could go after them and the other ones, before we go after people who's paying rent and not getting what they're paying for.
I have instructed Mr. Helmers to start that process. I've talked to Mr. Helmers. They just had a meeting with all the boat harbors to get, like he said, to get their job duties under tact, and take charge. I also instruct him to clean up every harbor, fix the lights, fix the docks. Everything will get fixed on our watch. So we will intend, Mr. Helmers has done a great job with getting people motivated. So we, as the administration, will tend to clean up every part of the harbors that we will do before we ask for an increase in any fee. And we will go after people who are delinquent on their payments. So I'll make that commitment to you to hear today, so you hear it from me.
I know you said, just like I said, you get just as many calls as I do. And we have somebody in the.
But there's gonna be some growing pains, and there's gonna be some people who may not be satisfied with the way we run it, but we're gonna clean it up. And it's going to get cleaned up.
I appreciate it.
We have collected over $20,000 worth of past due debt so far. Miss Shelley's on the phone every day, contacting folks, calling to get that going. So we're monitoring that every day.
My name's Kendra Arneson. I live at 280 Tangelo Drive in Buras, and I've been heavily involved in commercial fishery advocacy, coastal community advocacy for a little over 10 years. I paid close attention to what's happening in our harbors. Within the last 5 years, we've already seen a 150% increase in our harbor rent. I understand that the parish is in a fiscal crisis, and we need to come to some type of resolve when it comes to our fiscal crisis. But I also understand that we've seen a lot of other industries that continuously receive subsidies, and there seems to be no quarrel with that. But when it comes to the commercial fishing industry and our harbors being subsidized, there seems to be a lot of backdoor talk, if you will, about that subsidy. So before we start to raise our harbor rent, we need to understand that the commercial fishing industry is an economic engine in this parish, and we contribute quite a bit. We have a lot of residents that are involved in this industry, not only down the road, but also your constituents up the road as well. I recently seen a poll in the Gazette asking questions about what we should do to try and resolve some of these issues. There is money that's being left on the table. We do have a launch in Venice that people are using nonstop. These people that use this launch, they're contributing zero. We could have a pay-to-park system, would be one thing, that one form of remedy. We could also have a tag system for those that are running their businesses out of the harbor, whether they're launching on a daily basis or whether they're oil field support companies that are also using that launch, some type of tag system where it's in their window and they pay a monthly fee, maybe a little bit less than what the slip rental pay is. These are just some ideas that I've come up with to try to kind of give you guys some food for thought so that maybe we can come to some kind of resolve on our budget. I've been told, and I needed John to confirm this, that our floodgate operation, was that also coming out of harbors and shipyards at one point?
Well, the employees, I'm not sure that the finances, time he left, he usually moves the overtime to floodgate, okay? But our employees right now operate the floodgates, so it takes them away from their job in the harbors.
But where's the funds coming from?
The funds, some of the funds come from boat harbors, and some of the overtime comes from flood.
So some of the funds to pay to operate the floodgate, so I was correct, thank you, is actually coming from harbors and shipyards when that should either be coming from flood control or drainage. So how much have we actually spent out of the harbors and budgets? And this is just a question I have over the last decade, maybe 5 years. If we look back, what would that total look like? So these are just some of the things that we need to figure out. The back debt, I'm really glad you guys are collecting that. Hopefully we can come up to speed with some of those people. But we can't continue to ask. I mean, we just went under a federal disaster declaration for the commercial fishing industry because of the high river. This isn't just this year. Last mullet season for 2018 was a complete bust. We've been suffering with this high river for quite some time, and it's been impacting our entire industry, regardless of what species we chase. I do state and federal fish, and even my federal fishery was impacted because I catch my bait in state waters, and I had to travel way further in order to catch my bait, almost 10 hours. So this has affected us on a large scale. So right now, you know, I keep hearing all these rumors that we're going to be asking for increases, and we want to be fiscally responsible. But we also don't want to be the only industry in the parish that is frowned upon when we receive a subsidy. I don't think that that's fair. We're a huge economic industry, and I think that if other economic engines, receive a subsidy, I think the commercial fishing industry should also. And I would also like to note that the commercial fishermen are not the only ones using these harbors. We have oil field support companies that are using these harbors also. So we need to keep in mind that our group is not the only one that's using these. Over the last 5.5 years, I've asked for the lights to be repaired. In all of these harbors, we have the fixtures, everything's there. I was told by one of our previous council persons that the lights were finally found, that they were sitting in a box for the Buras Boat Harbor. That was 2 years ago. It's still blacked out. I'm coming in the middle of the night in Venice Boat Harbor. It's blacked out. And then when the river was high and the grass wasn't cut, we coming through waist deep grass during the summer where there's moccasins. I mean, it's been a hazard to even be able to use our own harbors, but they are starting to get cleaned up thanks to this administration and Mr. Helmers, and we're super grateful for that. But with this council, as we move forward, I want everybody to understand that we are an industry that is already struggling to survive in this parish. We just seen a 150% increase, and I've heard some of these numbers per foot to dry dock our boats, that these potential figures, and I can tell you, I docked Miss Selena 4 times in 8 weeks last year. I can't afford, I'm already broke down, a huge increase. I'm already struggling to fix a boat. I can't afford a huge increase to dry dock my boats. Between the 3 in the harbor, I dry dock my boats probably about 8 times a year collectively. That's without any major breakdowns. That's just maintenance. So as we move forward, I just ask you guys to really think this through and to work with the fishermen. Let us come to the table and sit down and actually have a meeting, which Mr. Lapine and Mr. Helmers, Mr. Konovich, Mr. LaFrance, y'all done us a great service by coming and sitting with us. But let's do that as we move forward. Thank you.
Mr. Russo?
Just one point of information. The boat harbors are subsidized by the general fund, so it's not like we're taking revenue from the boat harbor and operating the lock. So that subsidy comes from the general fund for all of the boat harbors. So I didn't want it to be thought that we're taking your rent for your slip and putting it somewhere else.
That's not what I meant. What I meant was it makes it look like our harbors are costing the taxpayers more, is why I brought that up. I didn't mean it as, and I appreciate you clarifying that for everyone, but you understand what I mean? I wanted to bring that up because it makes it seems like our deficit is more than what it actually is for funds that's not being used for harbors and shipyards.
And one other thing, could you have an idea of what other industries that you mentioned that we're subsidizing and like penalizing?
Well, government subsidizes several industries between the state and the parish.
No, I'm talking about the parish, though.
Well, the taxpayers paid for the land for the new port, didn't they?
Port Authority?
For the port that's going to be built?
Yeah, the
Sanders.
taxpayers, yeah, the taxpayers did.
Did buy
have
the
a
land,
tax-
right?
The tax was put on the property and the payer were the property owners. Correct. And we are working towards getting that refund through intergovernmental service charges and other things that the port should be paying. For instance, we talk about the ferries or we talk about other things. So I understand when you say they're being subsidized, they were paid for by the property taxes.
Okay, is that all? Was that all?
Unless you have another one, I can.
No, that was it. Thank you.
Mr. Konovich?
That's all I have.
All right, any other questions or comments from the table? From the audience?
Thank you.
Thank you. Item D, District 7 update, Mr. LaFrance.
Just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year's. Hope to see y'all back in 2020. Make sure y'all be safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. LaFrance. Item E, please, District 5 update.
Number 1, discussion regarding taking public work requests. Number 2, that's it, number
You
1.
can take them.
Take them both. Discussion of Covert Road and the Engineers Road drainage projects.
Okay. Thank y'all for taking the work request. I think we're having a little improvement on work requests being submitted, and that seems to be working. The second item is that we've had a meeting over a month ago or so, and I was wondering if you had made a decision about if we're going to take any money out of elevation to move to this project on Engineers Road, or how are we moving forward with Covert Road? Those projects are still stalled.
Yes, sir. We are taking money out of what's left, the remaining balance, the elevation money. And I got some pictures today from Mr. Dugas. Covert Road is moving forward. Should be done by next week.
And Engineers Road, same thing?
Yeah, taking money for the Engineers Road. But Covert, we talking about Covert by Padua House?
No. We're talking about, the Covert Road, Engineers Road project is on the other side of the tunnel.
Okay, I misunderstood. Yes, I just call it the Engineers Road process. I don't call it
Okay.
Covert Road. Okay, but yes, we are gonna take some money out and fund that, whatever we have left.
So Trigon can move forward.
Yes, sir.
All right. That's the answer. Thank you.
The next,
Can
Yes.
yeah.
I
If you can hold the ferry, you can do whatever you want.
I run the
Go ahead. Yeah, well, You got 5 minutes, hurry up.
I just,
Sir,
just
please.
for your clarity, in April, I want all the council members to know, we'll be kicking off a new website. And in that website, the request will be received and able to respond to all messages via the citizens' original communication channel, such as a voice, text message, email, Facebook, Twitter, web forms, and walk-ins. From this email will be sent to the residents confirming when we receive this request. The request will be distributed to the correct district. Council members and council secretaries will be copied on the request. The request will also be sent to the appropriate departments which are needed to complete the request. Updates can be sent to the residents through the lifespan of the project and request is completed. So everything will be automated online.
Great.
Thank you. Approval of the minutes. Mr. Russo offers, and get a second. Mr. Kotovich seconds. Questions or comments from the table, from the audience? All right, with none, machine is open. Passes 8-0. Motion to adjourn, Mr. Russo, second, Mr. Kotovich. Any questions or comments? All right, with none, machine is open. Passes 8-0. Meeting is adjourned at 3:55.